Oh god. Is anybody there? I don't know how to do this. Uh, Hello, this is my first live stream, if you like, a maiden voyage. I like to do things different, so I thought I would try to do a live stream just today and see how it shapes out. I just wanted to take a look at the UConn game again, and yeah, which camera am I using? Is it this one? No, is it this one? Yes. All right. Oh, this is ridiculous. All right, hold on. Okay, so I assume people can hear me. If anybody's out there, oh, I see one person's there. Oh, that's nice. So yes, want to take a look at the UConn game. Want to get y'all's thoughts on it. UConn versus Louisville. My two thoughts coming away from the game were essentially one is I just love Geno Auriemma. I've one of my regrets in life is I haven't been covering UConn longer, as I think he is one of the most interesting coaches in sports, and I love that he's just no BS. That's the thing I really like about him. And this the thing that I was amazed about, because in truth I haven't been able to watch the full game because I'm obviously in Australia, and it was hard to find a live feed of the game that wasn't blocked, and it was at 4 o'clock in the morning. But some of the things that he said in his pregame and postgame matched up quite well, in my opinion. And those two things were, if you looked at his pregame presser, first of all, he was talking about Aaliyah Edwards, which interested me because I was doing the previous video on the best power forwards, and the thing that he said about her was, she needs her mid range shot to fall. If she can get better at that, then it just sets up everything. And what do you know? Like in the game, that first one she took, she got the shooter's roll, and that set up everything for her. Because if she hits that mid range, then she's just unbelievably hard to stop driving to the basket. That gets her the other team's bigs in more foul trouble, and that is what he's looking for. He could not have written it any better. What he wanted to have happen exactly happened, and it was great to see. It's just like, man, that's exactly what you wanted to happen. The other topic in the press conference, the pregame press conference prior to Louisville, was talking about Aubrey Griffin, and the thing that he talked about with Griffin is yeah, they went into about her confidence and what they want to get from her, and I thought it was really interesting because with Griffin, it's all about confidence and consistency, and that's the thing that drives him crazy. Is you don't know what you're going to get one game to the next from her, and I don't even think it's going to be. It's not realistic for Griffin to always want. How many did she go for night for what? What'd she do? She went for how many points? 25 points. That's not she's not going to get that every night, but you want her to be imposing her will on the game every time that she plays. And that was the thing that she did tonight in the post game. That was the thing that he was just like, that's what drives you crazy is what is she going to do against Butler in the next game? And if they knew that consistently what they were going to get from her, that would go a long way to ensuring where this team can go. And it was interesting when he was describing her. He's like, "She's a thoughtful, nice kid. Everybody loves her, and that's the thing, but she's not a risk taker." And you can see that tension with him. Like in the old days with somebody like Tarasi or, a Bird who always thought she was right and stuff like that. They had their own set of problems, and to a certain degree had to sort of take them down a peg, which I think he enjoys more. I think the player that he struggles with now is the modern player that's sort of like, I want to be great. I want to do the right thing. Am I doing the right thing or not? Versus a Diana Taurasi who's just like, F you, I'm the smartest one in the building. You're lucky to have me, and I'm going to go out there and kick ass. And I think he does better with those players. He's like, no, you're not, and takes them down a peg and more comfortable than that. The new modern player, whether it be AZ Fudd or Griffin, the whole thing about, I think I can be good. I miss a few shots. I'm in my head. Do I have the confidence to do it or not? I think those are the ones that he's like, oh, those ones are the hardest. And I want those players like Griffin to take a risk, take a chance. I'm more happy if they take a chance and have a crack versus being timid and not wanting to make the mistake. And he keeps on stress. And Ashlyn Shade is a lot like that as well. Oh, thanks, Timmy, for saying you can hear me. Yeah, that's the thing with Ashlyn Shade. I think she's the same type of player of these new kids that get coached from high school and their dream is to be UConn and everything else. I think that brings a whole different set of problems versus the kids that are um, back in the day. It's they're just overwhelming with confidence. It's the modern kid problem, and I see it with my kids as well. Like things that I didn't think about as a kid, these guys think about because they just have so much information. I just think it's fascinating. But now Griffin was good, and I thought that was interesting. Those two things that he he wanted was one, Edwards. She needs her mid-range shot, and as well, Griffin to have an impact on the game. The big loser from this game, I think, is obviously is Nikki Mule. Like she just Mule just turn out like she got the 10 assists, but the 8 turnovers is just too many. Like you cannot get that from your point guard. And he talked about it. He's like her game was a nightmare because you can't be a point guard of a team and have 8 turnovers. And that's the and he's trying to be positive and saying, that's the thing I like is that's something we can improve on. Because overall, this was probably their best win so far this season because they in my opinion, it was the first most consistent. And what he said was it's the most consistent game UConn's played so far. And they've put it together in certain quarters, but this game it was the whole game, and he knows that he has enough in guard play. Like he pointed out, he's like Paige and KK. I've got something there, and I think he feels like they can be a dynamic backcourt because they both have speed and sort of give the other team problems with their speed. I think he knows he has something solid in Shade and he knows Edwards. So he's got that. And then if Griffin can be consistent, and the other one is Mule, if she can be consistent and not a turnover machine, the part of me is just fearful that by the time she I guess I just have flashbacks to Ohio State. In the big game, is she going to have one of those games where she crushes you just because she turns over the ball too much and she just makes those passes that some of them she makes you're just like what are you thinking there? Who makes that sort of pass during a game? And you just got to how do you get that out of her if she's a senior player and she still makes those mistakes? What's going to change to switch that for her not to make that mistake. It's almost like by your junior or senior year, you're almost who you're going to be in a lot of cases, and that's the worry with her, in my opinion. The other ones he had a bit of notes on, like he talked about Q a bit and how she went. He was like, God bless her. She gets 8 minutes and gets 5 shots up, and she with Samuels, I like Samuels. I think she has big upside. I'm always have a weak spot for players that have a good shot, and she has a damn nice shot. And I think she knows what the hell she is, and what she is she's a shooter. And if you know what you are in life and you are a shooter, then great. Then she knows exactly what she's going to be, and that helps him because he essentially puts her out there. If she has it going, she gets more minutes. If she doesn't, then okay, I'll give Shade extra minutes and sort of fill it in with maybe I'll go to Ice a little bit more. Ice got a few minutes. What did Ice Brady get? She got 8 minutes and she got a few rebounds, 3 rebounds. So overall, I would say UConn most or the best win they've had this season. And essentially the reason I think that was their best win is because um they played consistently and they're starting to figure out who they are. And then the one I haven't even talked about is Paige Beckers. It felt like tonight, or from the clips that I've seen, and total transparency, I cannot watch these games. Like I struggle. This one was not on. I didn't have the live feed for it. I had the last one and was able to break it down, but this one I'll have to wait 5 days for it to go up on YouTube. But what I could see from the clips, they put like most of the offensive possessions on there. It seemed like Beckers was hunting her shot a little bit more, and and that's what you need from her. And I think she's just going to get better and better as the season progresses, and that will be really good to see how good that she can get, and if she can turn into that player that just carries UConn and to see how far they can go. Again, people think I'm negative on UConn. I'm not. I like. I, I think this is a great. I think it's a fun team to watch this year, almost better than last year because you know what you're building for. Because it's fun when you're building a team around young players because you can see them develop and who's going to develop and who's going to turn into what and how good they're going to be. And I think with the young players, three of them, I'm pretty damn confident that they're going to be good. Like I've got KK's going to be good. If she develops an outside shot, then she's going to be great. I think Shade is going to be really strong player as well. And then the other one, obviously, Ice Brady. Who did I leave out? I left out so Brady. What's the Shade, KK, and who the hell am I leaving out? Who's the other fourth player? God, I'm just having a brain lock. Who am I leaving out? So, oh, Q, yeah, I like Q. So great shot, like I said, and if you have a good shot, she's long. She has all the tools to be a great player. I almost am more bullish on Q than any of their other players, just because she has so many tools to work with. She has a shot, which is number one, and then number two, if she stays at UConn and develops, her defense is going to improve. Her whole game is going to improve, and by the time that she's a junior or senior, she should be a pretty devastating player. Ice Brady, I don't want to be too hard on her. It's hard on freshmen because when you're in high school, you're the biggest one there. It's very rare that they get a matchup where they're going against somebody as good as them. Like they would do it at the All-Star games and um, that, but it's a different level when you go to college because everybody's as big and as good as you were. And I think you really won't know what you have from her probably until the end of this season, start of next season. But you can tell that she'll fit in well at UConn in terms of you would think as she settles down, she'll catch the ball better and play a better high post, and her shot will set her up and things like that, and she will just get quicker and quicker and better and better. That's the hope. So overall, like I said, I think it's going to be a good setup for this season to see how well UConn develops and how much better they get. Now, I'll just go off of UConn a little bit if y'all are all right with that. And just the other things I've seen um, thus far, the two best teams I've seen, I think everybody agrees with it, is UCLA and South Carolina. Those are, I think, the two best. And then I think LSU, I know LSU is polarizing. It depends on how they develop, but you can see Mulkey putting the pieces together. I mean, I know they're playing their weak schedule and everything else, but and Geno actually bemoaned that. He's like, when you play a schedule like ours, you're going to get crushed if you don't come out of the gate the right way. And it's true. I mean, everybody's going hysteria about UConn's schedule, but my God, who have they lost to? So they lost to NC State, who's ranked. They've lost to Texas, that's ranked on the road, no less. So it's if you're going to play really good teams in UCLA, the other one, if you're going to play really good teams, you're more than not going to lose. And he said that in the press conference as well. That exposes your weaknesses, no doubt. Versus if you're playing a cupcake, you don't get it exposed quite as much. So UConn knows what they need to work on. But LSU and Mulkey did a real good thing in her press conference. She sort of went through the machinations of the season and talked about how really the Christmas break is really the next time they get to really start to practice hard and really start to develop things, and that's the real growth period for her team. And I thought that was really interesting because um, with with like she some things you don't even think about. I mean, my God, these kids are going. It's getting towards the end of the year. They have exams and things like that. And Mulkey sort of outlined it. It is a grind right now for them because you get over the initial excitement of the opening games, and oh my God, the season's starting. We don't have to practice against each other quite as much in scrimmage. We get to see a different place and play, and then you sort of get into this part right before Christmas where it's sort of a bit of a grind, and then they will get a break, and that's where these teams will sort of really develop, and then yeah, it's a big hot topic right now, the WNBA versus college. I saw that Quita on Sports did something on that and saying, why is college basketball so much more popular than the WNBA? And I think it's pretty clear in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think, but in my opinion, the reason it is is basically the WNBA is flawed because it's based on the NBA system. Like everybody loves to just bash the hell out of the WNBA and say this, this, and this, and I don't agree with all of that. I mean, I know there's a certain section of the population that's polarized by majority of black women being high profile and having a voice and speaking their mind. But I don't think that's their overall problem with the WNBA. I think it's a two pronged problem. One is they the it's based on the model of the NBA of and they're going worse that way. Like they expanded their games. Everybody's like, oh yay, regular season's been expanded to I think they're up to like 35 games now, or did it get up to 40 games? I can't remember. Does anybody know exactly? I think it's 40 games now. And when I saw that, I was like, no, that's exactly the worst thing to do because when you do that, it just waters down the games of they don't care. Like in my mind, WNBA would be perfect. You can have 12 teams, 24 games, and then get into the playoffs. And then, um, eight of those teams make it fine. The other thing that they do wrong is they just miss their calendar. Like the WNBA is like, let's take on college football, which is crazy. No, find your niche. Your niche is start pretty much right after March Madness as soon as possible and then get into it. I know the European players can't get over back in time. Fine. I wouldn't have the what is it the rule where they have to be back on time. I can't remember the prioritization rule. I would say no. That makes it better. If Stewie's late, then great. That makes it more competitive for what is this? On stepping up and doing lives now. Yeah. Well, we'll see how this one goes. I imagine most people are going to hate this, but anyway, we'll see. I got a nice comment from Audie. Got distracted. Yeah, but that's the thing. If I was the WNBA, I would be like, yeah, the stars. You can come late, and that gives my teams that don't have the star power a chance to get ahead. Can the New York that's loaded with European players or players that play over in Europe can they get back and make up the ground and make it competitive? And then I would have their finals done by the time that by Labor Day. You want to own that time, and that's their chance to own it. But no, they're insistent that we want a longer season, and it's just so not clear where the college game is perfect in a lot of ways because one you have these non-conference games, whets the appetite. It's great and fantastic. And then after you get the non-conference, you go into conference play where you have your rivalries. South Carolina, LSU are going to hate each other. It's perfect. The Big East is perfect. You know, damn, it's such a shame the Pac-12 is breaking up because UCLA Stanford they are going to hate each other. I wish they were playing twice. I want to see Brink go against Betts twice, and that's why it's so perfect. And then when you do that. And then it sets up to the ultimate thing, a one and done tournament and that's why the NFL does so great is it's one and done on the day. It's unfair, but that's why it is so much better. And that's why it's just the setup. It's not the players, the attitudes, or anything like that. I think it's just basically how the system is set up, and the college game is just so perfect. Get the initial games, then you get if you like, the conference play where you have the rivalries, almost like in football. Pittsburgh hates the Ravens and all those things, and then you go into the tournament and it's one and done. It's just too perfect. Where the WNBA is following that NBA model, the God, NBA 82 games. Nobody cares about the NBA. I can't watch the NBA in the regular season. I don't know about you, but I just can't watch the NBA in the regular season. in the WNBA is like, oh, let's copy this and wonder why it's not working. Well, that's why it's not working. But I've gone off on a rant on that, but I do feel that. But that is why the college game is so perfect. And with the two strongest teams, I'll get back to that. I really think it's UCLA and South Carolina. UCLA is just put together so perfectly. Betts is the perfect. I think she's the transfer of the year by far. I know Morrow's done well with LSU, but Betts just made the UCLA team, and they just seem like the perfect team. And I at this stage, I don't see anybody beating them as well. I can't imagine how good UCLA would have been. Like they've suffered a bit is talking about, but I'll screw up her name. It's Besson, I think it is, who's did her ACL, but she was a stretch forward. If they would have had her as well, they were just frightful on paper. And I think it'll be interesting. The thing with South Carolina, I don't know, and South Carolina fans will crush me on this, but with South Carolina, who is going to take the big shot at the end of the game? Who is your super? I think it's full Wiley, but it seems like Don wants to put the brakes on her and really be tough on her to a certain degree. And I think, you know, and that sort of got them last year as well. I think Raven should have gotten more minutes last year. Um, and then when they got into the tough game, I don't think Raven had the minutes that she needed for that tough game. And going into this tournament, I really think that they need to really bloody Fulwiley more during the season so she is tournament tough, and that's what they should be doing. But I mean, they're going to be there as well. Tahina Powpow, like it was really good against Utah. I enjoyed the Utah game, and I think um, she was that player they needed last year. I think they win the championship last year if they had Pow Pow because that was the outside shooting that they needed. And I think it's right now it's between those two teams. I think LSU's coming. UConn, it'll just depend on the day. If they're hitting their outside shots and get rebounds and everything else, then they have a chance. And I think that they will. Uh, they're in the mix, but obviously, certainly with them losing their depth up front, they just don't have that depth and everything. I don't think you can say they're a surefire Final Four team. Who are the other teams that y'all think would be the teams to look out for? So let's see. I've got UCLA, LSU. Not big on Georgia Tech right now. I think they'll get better as the or Virginia Tech. I think they'll get better as the season progresses. Who are the other ones? I can't even think. I'm having a blank right now. NC State. Yeah, I don't mind them. Um, who else? Yeah, I think NC State. I think they're strong. I think they'll be fun to watch. I think he's got a good team, and I'm curious to see how they go. Yeah, Texas as well. I do like Texas. Um, they scare me a little bit how they fell apart last year. But I know that they didn't have Harmon, I think it was, and so I'm curious to see how they put it together. But no, those would be the main. Who initially big on Arkansas. I thought Arkansas might break out this year, um, but I'm not real. Yeah, it seems like they're up and down. I thought they might be the breakout team. I really haven't seen much of who was it, Mississippi, Ole Miss. I'm not sure if anybody else has seen much of them, but they were strong last year. Their coach seems to know what they're doing. I'm curious to watch them in SEC play. I want to see them match up against LSU and against USC. Tennessee, I just don't know about Tennessee. They on paper, I know Rakia Jackson's injured, but I don't know. I just they just never seem to be able to put it together. This they're saying Rakia Jackson has a leg injury. I don't know what the leg injury is, and it just seems like they're missing something. I can't put it down. I thought that Notre Dame game was telling when Notre Dame, that was a win they had to get. Yeah, and I heard, did Creighton have a big win today? They were talking about in the press conference. I think Creighton had a big win over UNLV today, so the Big East should be interesting. I'm curious to watch UConn go against Butler. Um, but yeah, just a lot of interesting teams, and I'm looking forward to watching it more. Who else? Utah. Like I'm a big fan of Utah because I like analytic basketball. So Lynn Robert, I'm a big fan of hers and how they play. I think with the injury to Neepkins, that sort of hurts them. It's devastating. But man, I loved watching Peely just carve up South Carolina because I did a video early. Um, a few months ago on them, and could they compete for the Final Four? And then watching them, watching Peely, I took a lot of S for that. I took a lot of S, and you know, just watching how they destroy people. I love the concept. We're not going to get the all stars, and but we're going to get good players that can shoot, and then we're going to run a system, and we're going to do two things right. We're going to play smart, basically no turnovers, and either we're taking shots at the basket or taking 3 pointers, and we're going to beat you that way. And what do you know? It works. So I just, the only thing with them, I just don't know if they've lost too much with Neekham's going out. That's my fear for them. Oh, and I didn't even mention Iowa. I don't know about Iowa. I'm not sure what your take on Iowa is, but for me, um, yeah, I think Caitlin Clark's having to do too much. In my mind, like I did a video prior to the season starting saying that last year was their chance and their moment, and um, I I think they'll be strong, but I just don't know if they're going to be strong enough. I think last year was their window. I think it's shut. I know they have the forward I like, and I just don't see how. Yeah, I just and God knows I did my great video. I think I'm not sure if you watched it. It'd be great for a laugh. But if you want to go look at my old videos, I did one on Iowa versus Iowa versus South Carolina, and I could not have been more wrong. I was talking about how you know Caitlin Clark was going to be shown up, and how Aaliyah Boston was going to make her pay for not getting College Player of the Year. God, I hate YouTube because I look so stupid forever when I do a video on that. I was comparing it to like Akeem Olajuwon and Patrick Ewing, and oh my God, it was one of the videos that aged the worst for me. Anyway, I think I'll finish off there with I think I'm just about to hit 25 minutes, which is way too much from me. So this is my initial streaming introduction. So never done it before. Not sure if I will do it again. Let me know if you hated it. As always, your poison is welcome as always. Question for I get some questions about um, I'm not sure if y'all know where I'm from or anything like that. If anybody wants to know that information or not, because people are often, I think people have figured it out that I'm actually, and you can tell it's sunny outside. So obviously, I'm doing this from Australia, but it confuses people because I have an American accent. So if you want the backstory on that or how this started, I'm happy to give it, but I don't know. That probably bore the hell out of you. Anyway, but thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for watching. Who knows? Maybe we'll do this again. Let me know if you want me to. All right. Thanks a lot. Have a good night or have a good day, y'all. All right. Bye.